Is that an aluminum foil envelope full of gunpowder in your pants, or are you just weird to see me? It's Loathomse Things, a horror movie podcast with your host Josh and his host John.
Okay, sorry. Hey, how's it going, everyone?
Yay!
Yay!
They made it! Yeah!
Why tinfoil with gunpowder? He just carries that around?
He's got like so many little envelopes of tinfoil. It's really great. What are we talking about, John?
Oh man, I'm so glad you asked, because this week we're talking about one of the greatest fucking movies of all time, any generation, any country, any who. We're talking about 1970, depends on how you date it. 4 is the official release date, I believe. 1974's Texas Chain Saw Massacre by the maestro, Tobe Hooper.
Tobe Hooper.
Yes.
He chain, he saw, he massacre.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I fucking love this movie. I hadn't seen it before we started doing this podcast, and then you picked The Funhouse by the Tobe himself, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna break down and watch this, and man, is it good.
It is probably in my top 5 all-time movies. It's so perfect.
Yeah, you could... If someone said that this was the greatest, at the very least, the greatest horror movie of all time, I might not agree with them,
right.
But I wouldn't think they were wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a reasonably subjective guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like, other people might rank other things above it, that's fine. It's just fucking great. I can't imagine what our Loathomse Things score on it is going to be.
Who can only say?
So this movie was directed by Tobe Hooper. He would go on to direct such gems as Eaten Alive, The Dark, Salem's Lot, The Funhouse, Poltergeist, Venom, Billy Idol's Dancing with Myself music video, Life Force, Invaders from Mars, and the Texas Chain Saw Massacre 2, and those are just listed in a row chronologically without anything skipped in between, because from 1974 to 1986, this dude was on fire. Then something happened and the list goes into a really amazing list of crap. But, you know, It's whatever.
Yeah. Oh, and you can throw in the made-for-TV series Salem's Lot in there.
I did, in fact, sir.
Did you? Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Go to the listeners. You tell us whether I said it or not. I don't know.
That show is dope-tastic, and it features, among other people, the father of, oh god, I don't remember her name. Okay, Juliette Lewis's father is in that movie.
Ah, yes.
He was a big time character actor from like the 80s and stuff. It's awesome. He looks just like her.
Nice. Yeah, and like this list, like fucking Life Force.
Life Force is so good.
It's so good. It's just nothing like this at all.
Totally bonkers.
Yeah, just, we found a spaceship full of giant bats, and then we're going to proceed to mostly just have a naked lady walk around for 2 hours.
But by the way, here's a really pretty naked lady.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous. Now, I have heard that Eaten Alive is fucking terrible.
Oh, well, yeah. It doesn't look great, but, I mean, I couldn't not list them in order to get
True.
the thing.
True. Well, I think the Forever Midnight guys covered it, and I was like, well, it's Tobe Hooper. It can't be that bad, but it sounds like it was real bad.
Also, he directed Poltergeist. He doesn't get enough credit for that. People keep calling it Steven Spielberg. I probably called it Steven Spielberg, but it's Tobe Hooper.
It's Tobe Hooper who directed it, but I think it's widely accepted that that was with Steven Spielberg, 90% up his asshole the entire time.
Yeah, he's like, no, we're gonna use human bones in this mud pit.
Look here, Toby, it's just not cute enough.
We're gonna need it to cute up. Say something about Pizza Hut.
Where's the Reese's piece? Why am I doing Gilbert Gottfried?
I love this idea of Steven Spielberg. It sounds like Gilbert Gottfried.
Oh, Toby, I think I have a great idea.
And then it's gonna glow.
Oh my god.
Let's see. John Larroquette famously lent his voice talents to the opening narration of this film at the price of 1 marijuana cigarette, please, and thank you.
1 doober.
Yeah. This was before his voice, dropped and got all sultry, too, so he just kind of sounds like some dweeb. And then later, he got the voice and the hair.
The voice and the hair. And went on to never watch any of the Texas Chain Saw movies.
Oh, for real?
Yeah. I guess he was just thoroughly uninterested.
Yeah, not John Larroquette's speed.
That's right.
A lot of these actors also went on to star in Ronald W. Moore's X-rated film from 1985, Future Kill.
Oh god, that's rough.
Yeah, and also went on to have mostly not very good careers, but sometimes reprising their role or just showing up as bit parts in later Texas Chain Saw movies.
That's true. The amazing Marilyn Burns is in the second film. She's in Eaten Alive. She's, in the other Tobe Hooper joint. She passed away in 2014, which is a shame. And she lived in a city that I've never been to, but I've always heard things about. She lived in a city called Houston, Texas, in an apartment complex on Briar Forest, apparently.
Oh, are you shitting me?
the on the Enclave, that road right there, she lived in one of those big complexes right there.
Wow.
Or so I'm told.
I wonder if she was living there in the few years prior to her death.
She was found in her apartment dead.
Oh, that makes sense based on that portion of Houston, Texas.
Could have been anything.
Definitely never discovered dead people in apartments near us.
That's funny stuff.
Yeah. Woo. So the biggest careers out of this movie were Edwin Neal, the hitchhiker, who went on to do a lot of stuff, including a lot of voice acting, and Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface. They both made careers out of acting. Everyone else in this movie, nah.
Yeah, Jim Sydow, I guess, reprised his role, and that's about it. Yeah. And I have I've got 1.5 big things of trivia for this movie. All right, so this film's original, did you read about this? The original distributor of the Texas Chain Saw Massacre? Maybe. Once I hear it, I'll know.
Was a front for the Mafia.
Oh.
And what they were doing was they were undercutting everyone. They were saying that it had made less money than it had, and no, it wasn't doing well. And the reason that they were doing this is so that they could launder money from the film Deep Throat.
Oh, wow! Yeah,
and so they paid everyone $405, and then later there were arrests and lawsuits, and the cast and crew sued and successfully were awarded $25,000 each of the profits that they had been cheated out of earlier in the process.
This was the 14th highest grossing film of 1974, which is pretty impressive for a film this extreme. It was an interesting era in American cinema, and a movie like this was able to kind of get a wide release, and word of mouth really propelled it. But this is very much a Texas effort. Tobe Hooper was a UT guy. He did a lot of casting out of UT. that most of these people are from Texas, or at least, were living in Texas at the time. It was shot in the summer of 1973, and it was one of those. It was a summer much like this one, where it was over 100 degrees every day they shot, and the I guess penultimate scene, roughly, I guess you could say, where they're all at the dinner table. It was 110 that day, and apparently all the anguish that you see in that scene is real, because they were miserable.
Yeah. In addition to not having air conditioning, they didn't even have electric fans on that set. And they had to use the lights for the, cameras to pick everything up all good, and they couldn't have, the windows open all the way because it would also fuck with the lighting and the sound, so it was just miserable. Grandpa, the guy that did all of the makeup stuff for Grandpa, he was like, no, we're shooting all of my scenes right now because I'm not getting into this makeup ever again.
Never again. Oh my god. Yeah, apparently it was over 120 degrees in that room when they were shooting that stuff.
God, that's disgusting.
That's dangerous.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Imagine wearing imagine wearing that, or wearing the Leatherface getup, and apparently, to stay in character, Gunnar Hansen did not shower throughout the shoot. So apparently he smelled absolutely terrible.
Yeah, so they had a problem with one of the actors had their clothes stolen from the laundromat. So after that, no one else laundered their clothes. And so after, it was just days and days of wearing the same costumes, and disgusting.
So many great things like that really actually ended up playing into the movie, and all the animal corpses and bones and all that stuff was all real, of course.
Yeah.
And with the heat, it was bringing out the rotting stench and the desiccated flesh. And apparently some of the actors would have to break in between cuts to go outside and throw up.
Oh, yeah.
Wonderful stuff.
And then get paid $400.
Let's go get some Lone Stars. I'm broke.
Oh man, yeah, this movie is beautiful. All of the sweat is authentic. There's these great shots of Franklin in the van, and his hair is just sticking to his forehead, and it's not makeup. That is just honest to goodness sweat. Apparently he was also a method actor, and everyone fucking hated that guy.
It's amazing, because I hate him too. He's one of the most deplorable characters in movie history.
I've got to say, I feel like I should agree with you, but I identify with Franklin so hard that I just love him. I'm like, oh my god, that's me!
Sally! Sally! Oh, yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. All right, let's get into it. John, kick us off this ramp.
I'm about to kick it. I'm sorry. Whoa. Yeah, so the movie opens with the John Larroquette narration. We get a little crawl, a yellow lettering crawl, which clearly was an inspiration for Star Wars. Yeah. And he tells a little story about the worst crime in the annals of criminess and all that business. It's August 8th, 1973, which would be my son's birthday if he was born 5 years after I was, or whatever.
Gross.
Yeah, that was a good year for me. We hear some really weird noises. The screen is all black now, and we get these flashes of somebody's taking a picture with the old school camera that goes. And these are snapshots of this gross corpse that's kind of mummified, and then we see the close-up of the face is all goopy and drippy, and there's these weird sounds. It's pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
Then we fade in on the face of a corpse. It's a foggy cemetery. The fog is real bad. Yeah. It's clearly just a smoke machine and a fan, which is fine. And then you can hear this radio in the background or whatever, and the guy's talking about how a a grisly work of art was discovered in blah 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 cemetery. I think it's called the Muerto Cemetery.
Hell yeah.
Town's called Muerto. So anyways, so we hear this whole running news thing going on, which is like the worst news ever. Of course, they talk about some suicide, like, plague that takes over Houston, Texas, of course. So anyways, we see this, the camera pans out, we see this murder sculpture. It's fucking genius. It's like spread-legged, and it's just amazing.
2 skulls.
We get the credits, and then we come back, we've got an armadillo roadkill, and right there on the old Texas highway, and this green van, this Ford van blasts by. They've got a bunch of young folk in it. They pull over to the side of the road, and you continue to hear the terrible news. They pull over. Franklin, who's the wheelchair-bound method actor, has to pee. So as he's out there peeing, a giant rig passes, blowing Franklin down a hill. Which I imagine he's probably peeing on himself the whole way down.
At least a little.
It's great. They get him back in the van. He's now whining, which he continues to do until his death.
Yeah.
We get one of the girls who's laying down some heavy 70s astrology. They arrive at what turns out to be the cemetery where the freakish sculpture was found. And Franklin's, what is she, his cousin, Sally?
I think that's his sister.
Her sister, Franklin and Sally Hardesty.
Yeah.
Their granddaddy, is buried in the Muerto Cemetery. We see this drunken lunatic old man who is just ranting, and Franklin is mortified, and the guy says something like, "There's them that laughs and knows better."
I've never seen a guy drink upside down in a tire before, but this guy certainly manages it.
He knows what he's doing. Sally goes off with some cowboy, and he shows her the gravesite, whatever. They get back into the road. They hit the road again, and now they smell something terrible, and turns out they're passing by a slaughterhouse. Franklin starts boasting about how his family has a history working in the slaughter industry, and he starts talking about how they use air guns, bolt guns to kill the animals and all this crap, which nobody cares except him.
No.
He does the sound effect, boom, boom. Everyone's like, "Ah, Franklin, you douche." They see a hitchhiker on the side of the road who one of the girls describes as weird looking because he's weird looking.
Yeah.
And they stop and pick him up because 70s. And he has one of those gigantic full face red birthmarks from like forehead to chin. He stutters. He's greasy, skinny, lanky. He has a weird squinty, as an old school like Polaroid around his neck with the like silver disc flash.
Yeah.
He's got a lovely satchel, and he starts talking about how his family worked the slaughterhouse. And my family's always been in meat. And then Franklin starts talking to him about the air gun, and isn't that great how they have that now? And this guy is like, no, he's a big fan of killing with the sledge.
Yeah.
Because that's a much better way to kill them.
It doesn't put people out of work.
That's right. He busts out some of his photographs of dead cow stuff, and then we hear about head cheese and you guys ever head cheese? And and then he notices that Franklin has a knife which he's using to, I don't know, clean under his fingernails or something.
Oh God, that gave me so much stress. Because they're in the car, and he's not even looking the direction that they're driving, and he's just got this pocket knife, and he's digging underneath his fingernails. I'm like, oh my God, you idiot. What's wrong with you?
Oh, it's horrible. Yeah, the hitchhiker sees this and gets all excited. And he basically grabs it out of his hand, cuts his own palm, hysterically starts giggling, and then hands the knife back. So now everybody's freaking out. Yeah. And then he's like, hey, Jake, I got my own. And he pulls a straight razor out of his boot, shows it off to everybody, more giggling. Then he puts it away, folds it up, puts it away, takes a Polaroid of the crowd. And and then There's blood like running down his arm, and then he wants them to buy the Polaroid for $2, which I really love.
Yeah.
And he also wants them to come home with him so that they can have dinner.
Head cheese.
Y'all can stay for dinner. Have some head cheese. So he said, you want to buy this picture for $2? It's a good picture.
It's a good picture.
So they don't want it. So he busts out this little ball of tinfoil from his satchel and opens it up, and he's got gunpowder in there. So he uses some gunpowder and basically explodes the photograph, like torches it. And in the meantime, this horrible jazz is playing in the background, which just adds to the weirdness. Of course, the guys in the van freak the fuck out, and the hitchhiker, he slashes Franklin's arm. It's pretty nasty. They freak out, stop, kick him out of the van, and as they're driving off, he's chasing the van, kicking it, and wiping his blood on the side, and going... just blowing raspberries the whole time. It's so good. Oh my god, I love it so much.
Yeah.
They're back on the road now. It's the original gang. More horoscopes. They see a garage/gas station, so they stop to fill up. There's this weird bald creep that apparently is mute who works there. He's washing the windshield. An old man comes out and, there, we ain't got no gas.
Yeah.
So they're fucked about that. And then he tells them something about not to fool around other folks' property. I don't remember why he said that. I just like that line. And then he tries to sell them barbecue, which it turns out they actually buy. While the guy's in there buying barbecue, Franklin's going on and on about the hitchhiker and, I wonder if, like all that nonsense. It's whatever. So they get barbecue, take off. And I mean, who could say where that barbecue may have come from?
I even there's a funny little air here, and I haven't seen anyone else talk about it. I haven't looked too hard though. But whenever they're like, "Hey, do you know about this house?" He's like, "Oh, you're talking about the Franklin house?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, that's not his last name, that's his first name. You fucked up."
Oh yeah, that's right.
But maybe it wasn't. Who could say? And so in there was even a spot where, like, Franklin was looking at the blade of his pocket knife, and he was like, "You think that's his blood? I think that's his blood on my knife."
That's right.
And then, now, they leave, they got, like, I don't know, some sort of weird gray, like, sausage or something. It looks real bad.
These little, small, gray sausage links that look so disgusting.
Yeah, real not good. Like, come on, get some Slim Jims or something, at least where you can't, I don't know. So, his sister, Sally, asks for his pocket knife, and he hands it to her, and then he looks away, and then she uses the pocket knife to cut up the sausage. Hands it to Franklin. He starts gnawing away on it like a dog with a bone. Not eating it, really, just like... I had a great uncle that wasn't allowed to smoke cigars, so he just gnawed on the end of it until it was gone. And that's what this guy's doing with that sausage. It's real unpleasant.
Oh, that's gross.
And so, they get out, they find the old house. It's overgrown. It looks fucking awesome. Like, all of the windows are blown out. The entire outside of it is covered in vines. Just like, it's great. I want to go in that house. Yeah. And, but they saw the blood one of them saw the blood at the gas station, and now they're, like, contemplating the blood. It kind of looks like, I don't know, like a crow or something. It's weird. It doesn't, they spend a lot of camera time on it. Franklin's the one that, like, gets, like, bad vibes off of it. Everyone else is like, "Yeah, he's just a crazy guy." And he's like, "Hey, you think that guy would follow us?" And then he starts spitting little pits of something out of his sausage.
Human cartilage.
Yes. He realizes he can't find his knife. There's a weird shot of a corner of the house where there's just 1,000 daddy long legs jiggling in the corner.
It's so weird.
And so now everyone else is in the house. They're upstairs. They're giggling and playing around and having young people happy time. Meanwhile, Franklin is struggling to roll his way up into the house. he starts getting real unpleasant about things and starts yelling about stuff and, come on, Franklin, let's go ahead and get him. And then he starts blowing raspberries up the stairs towards all of these young people that he's with. And it just goes on for a really long time. He, ends up, knuckling himself on a door frame and everything. It's just, not good. Kirk and Pam come downstairs and hey, we want to go for a swim. Except they don't have that accent. Only Franklin has that accent. That's why I really like him. He's, in between the two places. They're just 4 hippies, and he's, half hippie, half hick, and he's just kind of the bridge between these two worlds. So they leave to go to the watering hole, which ends up being dry. They make fun of him for being fat while they're there.
Yeah.
And then since the hole is dry, they're like, oh, well, what do we do? And then they hear a gasoline motor going. And so since they need gasoline, they decide that they're going to go towards the sound of the gasoline motor. Kirk's plan is, I'll leave my guitar with them and we'll, buy gas from them when we come back. We'll be like, here's some money for the gasoline, thank you. There's a house. Oh, they find netting, the type that you would use to hide a military whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just full of cars. Mostly hippie cars, but not all hippie cars. They think nothing of this. They go up to the front porch and knock. Kirk finds a human tooth, and instead of being alarmed by this discovery, he decides to tease his girlfriend with it, and then goes inside the house because the door is unlocked, where we see he gets clobbered over the head with a sledgehammer by Leatherface. Now, if you don't know Leatherface, he's a sizable figure. They put him in big pump shoes, so he's even taller. He's quite rotund, and he is wearing a human skin face as a mask, and he got him real good. You don't see the hit, but you hear it, and the actor does a great job of spasming. It's a very disturbing shot. It's not gory. Tobe Hooper was going for a PG rating on this.
Yeah,
and
I know, it's a great.
He managed to get it down to an R rating, and he was like, all right, well, that's fine. So he's dead. Kirk's dead. But Pam's still on the front porch. She didn't go in. Now she's bored. She's like, hey, Kirk! And she goes in, wandering around. She ends up stumbling into a room full of feathers. There is a bird cage hanging like it would be normal, except there is an entire chicken inside of it. And then she realizes that in the feathers covering the floor, there's a bunch of human bones. And also, there's furniture made out of human bones and just all kinds of human bones everywhere. There's a skull with a, cow horn shoved through the jaw of it. And so she starts freaking out, and then Leatherface, grabs her, she almost makes it out the front door, but he grabs her and carries her into the kitchen, and Kirk's there on the table, and there are these meat hooks on the wall, and he just fucking lifts her up, and he just puts her on a meat hook.
Good chunk.
Whoo! And so the tenor of her distress changes, and now she is stuck there alive, watching Leatherface chop up Kirk's body with a chainsaw.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Jesus Christ.
That scene where that bit where he pulls that person into that little area in the back, which the walls are painted red in that little room, and there's all these skulls and stuff attached to the wall, and he pulls a person in and then slams this big metal door shut, and it's just suddenly just quiet. It's oh, this is so good.
Yeah, all of the rooms have different death decorations. His little hammering room has ram skulls, all kinds of taxidermy animal heads. but the vestibule is just covered in pelts and skins of like cows and stuff, and then you got the chicken and human room over to the left yonder.
I don't know what it is. I mean, maybe if I, theoretically lived in this other state besides Texas that I don't live in, maybe, and this movie was made in that state, I would be like, oh, this movie really represents this state in a way, but it really represents Texas in a very strange way that you can only appreciate if you live in Texas.
I mean, like, it is, I recognize everything. Like, the smell of the slaughterhouse, I've fucking driven right past that fucking place, and I know that smell.
They're all over East Texas.
Yeah, oh man, it's just... And these houses, I've been in houses like this, apparently you can go into this house, they've moved it and restored it, and it's a fucking restaurant, and that's beautiful. There's some guy out there that was a good idea.
Well, apparently it's a bed and breakfast now. It was a tea house for a while. And then these other, they closed it, and these other people took it over, and I don't know if they do this regularly, but I know that one year they had an event where you do a sleepover there, and then they show the movie downstairs in the living room, and it's just like, oh, that is the coolest thing ever.
Oh my god!
Of course, and then the gas station is a barbecue joint now, like kind of like like outside of Bastrop, I guess, or in somewhere on the edge of Bastrop. You can go there and get what apparently someone said was frozen chili. What?
Oh,
okay, that's lame as fuck. Anyways, yeah. So, yeah, I know. It's like, what? That's not barbecue.
Jesus Christ.
There's probably beans in it. So Sally and Jerry are taunting Frank, basically, about the hitchhiker. Probably because they're just sick of his shit.
Jerry is such a piece of shit, though. He's like, he's gonna get you. He's gonna get you, Franklin. I told him your zip code. And like, oh my god, what the fuck is wrong with that guy?
He has one of my least favorite 70s looks, which is like the loose afro with the sideburns and giant glasses. It's like, oh, this guy needs to die soon. Oh, maybe he will.
Stinky disco boy.
Yeah. So he sets off to go find Kirk and Pam, try to figure out what the hell's going on. Actually, he just wants to go find Kirk. He never even mentions Pam. Frank and Sally are chatting, just having a little chat. We cut to Jerry, who arrives at the Sawyer house. He knocks, there's no answer. He hears weird voices inside. It's like... And it's the best part, my favorite part, that I just noticed the last time I watched it. I've seen this movie probably 30 times. When he walks into the screen door, you hear the voice go, uh-oh. I was like, wow, that's dark.
Brilliant.
It's so good. It's so good. He hears banging in the kitchen, I guess, where there's this big, freezer, like the freezer that lays flat on the ground anyway. So he hears banging, opens it. Pam is in there, and looks like she's dead, but then she kind of wakes up, freaks the fuck out, which summons Leatherface, who shows up and sledges Jerry in the noggin.
Oh.
And then starts freaking out, like, looking out the window, like I'm gonna get in trouble for this. It's so
yeah, I know. He's like, oh no, aren't there more of these kids?
Yeah, he's like, it's so good. We cut to nighttime now. We see the moon, crickets, we hear crickets. Sally and Frank are shouting like idiots, like just at the top of their lungs, trying to find the others. There's no response, of course, because they're dead.
Yeah.
Franklin is badgering Sally to go back to the gas station. She's not having it. She wants to take the flashlight, which he's hoarding, basically, and go back and go search for them, basically. And there's just this, weird tension between them. She gets pissed, basically, and heads off. So then he's like, wait for me! Wait for me! He never shuts the fuck up. Sally! So they're like traipsing through this dense brush. Now she's pushing him. And they're both basically screaming at the top of their lungs for Jerry. They don't really...
Gary!
No one gives a fuck about Pam. They spot the house lights. She's having a horrible time pushing him in the wheelchair. It's ridiculous. And then out of nowhere, Leatherface shows up. And I had read that, which I just thought was so great, that when he would have those shocking moments like that on screen, Hooper would take some of the frames out when they were editing so that there wouldn't be like a lead up to him showing. He just was there with the chainsaw. And it really works because it messes up your, like, the beat is off, and so it messes up the rhythm, and the timing is unnerving. It's crazy, the stuff that the little tricks that he uses that you would never know if he, like, I would have never had a clue that he did that on purpose.
Yeah, the other thing that he would have things show up on the left, and then the next frame, the other thing would be on the right, and so it would, like, also startle you. All of a sudden, you're having to look over here. It's just fucking great. Like,
great stuff.
This movie's art.
It is. That's the beauty of it, is that it's basically an art house film.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the things that's the beauty of it. Anyways, that made no sense.
Slaughter art house.
Yeah, Slart. So, so he busts in with the saw, completely murders Franklin, thank God. Sally bails and basically sets up the rest of the movie, which is a lot of Sally running and screaming, with Leatherface giving chase, and it is fucking glorious. It's so difficult to watch and so uncomfortable, and her screams are so real. She hurt herself running through the brush. It was, the heat, everything, the exhaustion, that I don't care if you got cameras on you or what. If you got a giant man chasing you with a chainsaw, that's creepy shit.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's just a beautiful scene. It's so good. Her screams are really the stuff of legend.
It's a shame that she didn't make an entire career out of this. Like, someone should have paid this lady some more money.
Yeah, no kidding. She barricades herself in the house. That's not working. He just basically chainsaws his way through the door. She finds Grandpa, who is a dude in a wheelchair in a really weird-looking rubber mask, which looks so fake and yet is so effective anyway. It just adds to the appeal of everything. And then we see the mummified grandmother who they keep around, and more of just the weird house shit. Leatherface gets in, chases her around. She jumps out a window for the first time, jacks her ankle up. She's, gets up real slow. She's kind of like creeping along, and he comes bolting out, and they go chasing through the brush again. She does the time-honored horror thing of falling.
Yeah.
And he catches up to her. She gets up and starts running again. Now he's right on her ass. Both of them are in the shot. I guess they were running, holding the camera backwards. I don't know how they got that shot, but it is amazing. It is it's terrifying. He's like lurking behind her. Even though he's behind her, he's still like 1.5 foot taller than she is, running with a running chainsaw. Oh, it's so good. Oh my God, I love it so much.
Because even with those, like, platform shoes he was wearing, he was still faster than her, so that's why, as he was chasing her, he would do, like, weird business, like, stop and just start chainsawing at a tree or something to, like, make it, like, have business to do to not catch her.
I know that she had actually injured her ankle, even though she wasn't the one who jumped through the window, so maybe her ankle was banged up at that point, so that probably didn't help.
Yeah.
Either way, she arrives at the gas station again. She's back at the gas station, hysterical. The cook from the gas station brings her in, and he's like, "Oh, calm down. Come on, it's gonna be all right, honey. Sit down. It's gonna be all right." So weird. She's begging for him to call the cops, but we ain't got no phone. And she's so fucked. It's great.
Yeah.
He pretends to care, but he's so fucking cynical and sarcastic that it's horrifying. She is so out of her element. It's amazing. So he's all talking nice, and he's, you sit here, I'm gonna go get the truck. So she's sitting in the station now. It's like dead quiet. She's terrified. The door's open. You can hear like crickets outside. She's looking around, and she sees the area where the barbecue is cooking. It's got a bright red light, and the barbecue just looks so disgusting.
Yeah.
And of course, it's human flesh. I mean, they don't say it outright, but there's a lot of young people going missing, and these guys are serving meat when the slaughterhouse has been shut down. You kind of do the math.
It's so good too, because there's just this big tension in the movie around it where she's just looking, and it like zooms in on the meat and like pans over it, and you can't tell, but you're just thinking about it, like, is that beef or is that person?
It's so great. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
And now I want barbecue.
Yeah.
But anyways. So he drives up, comes in with a burlap sack, all smiles, starts bashing her around with a broom, ends up bagging and gagging her, and then punches her out while laughing and cackling like a lunatic. Ties her up. She starts waking up. The sack goes over her head. He puts her in the passenger seat of the truck, and they drive off. And he starts wisecracking about the cost of electricity drives a man out of business. Because he's like, I have to go back and turn the lights off.
Yeah, he had to go back.
It's so good. So yeah, now they're on the road.
He gets in the car, he's driving, and he's still got that broomstick. And this is, I don't know, there are so many scenes in this movie that are just amazingly upsetting. But this is one of the top ones, because he's got the broomstick, and she's bagged on the floor, and she's, like, having a unpleasant time, and he's verbally reassuring her, telling her that everything's gonna be okay. Wow, he's poking her with the stick to make and like it's like, oh, everything's gonna be okay, don't you worry, and then poke. And it's like, oh my god, what the fuck? This is just out there, so far away from everything else. Oh,
yeah.
They drive up to the house. There's the hitchhiker. He's got a dead possum that he's dangling in the headlights. The old man starts yelling at him, like, I told you to never leave your brother alone. They bring her inside. He's all mad because he sees the front door is chopped up. He's like, you fucked up the door. The hitchhiker starts taunting her while the old man gripes at Leatherface, who is now in his grandma mask. He's wearing a different mask, and he's like making little ooh, and he's like preparing dinner and everything.
He's got his little apron on. Oh
my god, amazing. And then they bring Grandpa down for dinner, and I mean, this is an old dead corpse. It's nothing. And the old man is saying, everything's gonna be fine, we're just gonna get you some dinner. They've tied her to a chair made out of human bones, and they cut her finger so that it's bleeding, and then stick it in Grandpa's mouth, and his face starts moving. He starts suckling on her finger, and in another fantastically just, oh my god moment, he does little happy hands with the little balled up fists, under his chin as he's sucking the blood off of her finger. It's just the most horrible movie in the world.
It's amazing.
Oh man. So then, and now that dinner's on, Leatherface has now changed masks again. Now he's in his pretty lady mask with makeup and curly hair. The hitchhiker and old man start bickering about who does all the work around here and who doesn't like killing. There's this whole thing with the old man where it's like he doesn't like killing, he doesn't, it's just a thing that has to be done. But we know that that's not true because we saw him do the poking and he likes it. It's obvious that he's just a coward. Like he can do something from a distance, and like later there's a whole thing with him like running in and out of the room and like peeking and giggling while, and my god, this movie's fucking amazing. So they start bickering. Sally is freaking out. We get these amazing close-up on her eyes as she, like, the switch flips in her brain, and then I think the idea here is that she is going from human mode to animal mode, and oh my god, it's really good. While this is happening, there are, like, animal slaughterhouse noises going on in the background. Other than that terrible jazz song, all of the soundtrack for this movie is actual slaughterhouse sounds, like rusty grates creaking, tools being dragged along surfaces, actual animal noises. So this is happening, and Hitchhiker explains his plan is to let Grandpa relive his glory days by having a whack at her. So they bring out a wash basin, push her over it, execution style, and try to get the hammer in Grandpa's hand, but it just keeps falling out because he has no strength. All he can do is little happy hands. And so she's like, there's this one shot where she's just pressing her body back away from it, it's incredible. And so they keep doing it. They keep, like, putting it in his hand and then, like, holding his hand and, like, moving his hand to do the whack and mostly missing. One, like, hits, we see a little bit of blood in her scalp and, like, bouncing off of her head and just falling and all of this stuff.
It's so loud, like the hammer's, like, banging in this tin barrel. It's just like, it's like, it's just nerve-wracking.
It is, and it just keeps happening over and over again, and they keep doing it from different shots. It is, for me, this is the scene in the movie. Like, there are, of course, every other things, but, like, when I watched this the first time, that was the scene that I wasn't expecting to see. Like, I knew the end of the movie, like, all of the other things I knew about, but this, I was just like, oh my god, this is destroying me.
It's magic.
Yeah. And so Franklin, who has been holding her, is like, here, let me do it. And he lets go of her long enough, trying to go get the hammer so that he can kill her, that she gets up, runs, jumps through another window, and starts running away. Now it's the early morning light outside, and the hitchhiker is chasing after her with a knife, and just a ways behind the two of them, it's Leatherface. He's got his chainsaw out. He's turning it on. The hitchhiker is just right behind her, and instead of overtaking her and, like, grabbing her and tackling her to the ground, he's got his knife, and he's just running behind her and cutting her on the back over and over and over again while she's running and screaming, and it's just, oh my god, it's so torturous. And then she makes it all the way out to the street, and it's still going on, and she's just covered in blood, and then there's a big truck, and it's the kind that hauls livestock, and he doesn't see it, and she gets out of the way, and it annihilates the hitchhiker.
Such a great shot.
Oh, man, and it rolls over him, you see the body, it's the most obvious dummy in the world. It looks so fake, but nobody cares because it's amazing, because fuck that guy. It comes to a halt. She comes around the back of the truck. The guy gets out. He's wearing a big ol' orange shirt, and he's like coming out, like, to, like, assess the situation. He sees her running towards him, covered in blood, and then around the corner, there's Leatherface with the chainsaw and the mask covered in bad makeup, and he turns around, goes back in the car, pulls her up into the cab with him, closes the door just in time, and then Leatherface just starts going nuts on the door and just scratches the paint off. For some reason, they get out of the car at this point. On the other side, he grabs a monkey wrench, they run away. Leatherface is now chasing both of them down the road. The guy turns around and at the last minute throws the monkey wrench, which clocks Leatherface in the head. He falls, he drops the chainsaw on his own leg, and blood starts squirting out, and he screams, and he gets up and just starts chasing them again. And then another truck is there, and she, like, forces it to swerve off of the road, and she's all fucked up, and she, like, hobbles over to it, and has a hard time getting in the flatbed, but she manages to get in there right as Leatherface is hobbling along, and swings the chainsaw at her, and misses, and the truck drives away, and we get this shot of her staring back at him, and she's just, like, screaming, covered in blood. And we see the trucker in the yellow shirts. He's still running. We don't know what's going to happen to that guy. He's getting out of there. And the movie just ends with the morning, like the sunrise, and Leatherface is doing a crazy chainsaw dance in the morning sun. Movie over.
Oh my god. I mean, it's near perfection.
I mean...
The scene where she's just gotten run out of the truck, and he's just cut himself. Now he's chasing them. The black guy's over on the right. The pickup truck's coming up there. You know, they're kind of on a little rise. The camera is catching this whole tableau. There's like 4 or 5 things happening at the same time. It's like this chaotic ballet of like violence and just torment. It is one of the greatest shots of all time. The composition is so anarchic. It's just, it's amazing.
Yeah. You can't keep up with it. You're even the detail of, like, the guy in the yellow shirt, he's gone now. We see him running away. It's like this whole other thing. Like, you can't keep track of everything that's happening. And then even you see him doing his chainsaw dance. And it's like, whoa, what is he doing? And that's how the movie ends. It's just, it's mind blowing.
Yeah, he's dancing and like this crazy, you hear the chainsaw is really loud, and then all of a sudden just black and silence.
Oh, fuck yes.
I mean, that's one of those, this movie is one of those moments where, everything came together, everything worked. I mean, it's a special movie.
Yeah, he achieved some real fucking magic with this one.
It's its own world. It's like there's world building. It's got its own mythology. It's believable. The atmosphere is ridiculous. It's disturbing. It's extremely vivid, but yet at the same time not gory somehow. It's just, I don't know. It's just a fantastic piece of work.
Apparently, this is what made Guillermo del Toro a vegetarian.
Yeah.
Which, I want to talk about that because this, like, it's very much a theme in this movie. They talk about killing animals for meat. There's a focus on meat. There's a constant, purposeful conflation of the human body with butchering animals for meat, and it's just really genius. It doesn't like preach a thing. It just gives you that thing. Like, look, human bodies are just more meat, and it's disturbing. It does a great job.
I mean,
of that.
There's social commentary. There's satire. I mean, it's in a way it's a comedy. It's a very funny movie in a lot of ways, but it's extremely disturbing. And the fact that he thought that he was going for a PG rating just blows my mind, because there's no, especially in the 70s, there is no fucking way that children should be watching this movie.
No, I think this was prior to PG-13 existing, and I think maybe people didn't understand how the ratings thing really worked, or also maybe it worked different. But his thing was like, I'm not showing any human body parts being cut or injured. It's just all implied. But he didn't get it, and that's fine. This is an R-rated movie.
Yeah. I came to this movie pretty late. As far as, I mean, I had seen tons of movies before I saw this one, and there wasn't any reason for it. I just hadn't seen it yet. And then, I was at a video store a million years ago, and I was like, I need to watch this movie. This is ridiculous. I need to watch this. And I watched it, and it was just like, holy shit, where has this movie been all my life? This is phenomenal. I mean, I was already a Tobe Hooper fan, but this is far and away his best work.
Oh yeah, like he did other cool things, like other really good things, but he did not recapture what he got with this.
No, I mean, I would be happy to put my name on several of his other projects. I'd be very proud and very happy if I'm the guy who made those. And none of them even come close to this movie.
No, this movie is, I mean, I guess I can't say that it's perfect, but I don't know what I would change, because I would worry that changing anything would just ruin it.
I wouldn't change. I mean, I have no complaints at all.
Yeah. My big complaint with this movie is the ableism. There is a lot of ableism in this movie. The way that Franklin is represented is real shitty. The way and there's also other characters in here it's bad. They were even specifically trying to not be offensive to the handicapped, but they were trying to not be offensive to the handicapped in 1974, and they weren't trying too hard.
No.
So it is problematic there, but
True.
I mean, even in the opening narration, they refer to Franklin. I forgot that this was the word that they used to use for it. He's not disabled. He's not any of the more modern words. He's referred to as an invalid, and I'm like, oh my god.
Which is kind of ridiculous, because isn't an invalid somebody who's so sick they can't leave bed, basically?
I have no idea.
I mean, I always thought that, in my mind, I always thought of an invalid as, like you have a heart attack or you're in a coma. You're an invalid because you literally can't do anything. You're just stuck in a bed.
I guess in 1974, validity meant you don't have to be in a wheelchair.
I love, I do love the political subtext and the weird, like, commentary about modern society and all that stuff, which is great because it's not heavy-handed, and if you don't pick it up, it doesn't matter.
No.
Which I just think is fantastic. But yeah, man, I love this movie so much.
It's so good. I want to say one of the big disservices I think that's done to this movie is they talk about Leatherface like he's one of the big four. They're like, you've got your Freddy Krueger, your Jason Voorhees, your Michael Myers, and your Leatherface. And I'm like, no, this does not... One of these things is not like the others.
There's nothing... Yeah, he's not supernatural, for one thing. I mean, he's a terribly flawed human being who probably would have been okay if he was raised in a better environment, instead of being raised by a cannibalistic family that somehow went really far off the rails when the slaughterhouse shut down. And these guys they were inbreeding, obviously, and there was no place for them in the rest of the world. And so they were pretty resourceful, and they knew how to do something really well: slaughter and barbecue. They could do those two things, and so that's what they just start doing, and that's it. It's picked up many years down the road, where they've basically got it down, and they live in this nightmare house of horrors. It's so good.
Yeah. If you want some social commentary, it's talking this movie. You've got your lack of access to social services and things like that. So like, if these people had been born closer to a city, they might have had more help or whatever.
They don't even have power. I mean, they've got, they have to run a Jenny. Yeah.
Well, that's because of electricity prices are so high.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, of course. They probably get their water from a well, too.
Oh, yeah. Ugh, gross.
Yeah.
That well is made out of bones, not rocks.
Delish.
Ugh. So, from me, that's a 5 out of 5 Loathsome Things. There are things that I would be tempted to change, but I wouldn't. It's a perfect movie. It may have aged poorly in a few things, but not so much that it's just so effective. It's one of the most horrific things I've ever seen. that I didn't then hate for how horrific it was.
Yeah, that's true. It does have this weird, endearing quality, despite losing none of the disturbing quality. I mean, it's a lot of movies are extremely disturbing, and they're bothersome. Like you kind of wonder about the people making it. Like, like, this guy really liked this a little too much, I think. But
Yes.
this movie was just, it just seemed like it was a movie. It was a work of art, but it was just executed so effectively. I guess, Hooper just really knew what he wanted, and I guess he was very uncompromising about getting it.
Jesus.
Yeah, but I mean, I gave it a 5 out of 5 as well. I just was like, I'm not gonna fuck around with it.
Yeah.
There's few movies I would rate higher in horror, so,
Straight to the top of our list it goes with our other 10 out of 10. Zulawski's Possession.
Yes, of course.
Brian De Palma's Carrie. Rose Glass's Saint Maud. Bob Clark's Black Christmas. And that's it.
Okay. We didn't go full fives on Basket Case, huh?
No, we did not. And we
That's
also,
fair.
I chipped a little tooth off the top of Night of the Living Dead too.
Ah, yes. Okay.
Yeah,
Right on.
so it's in good company because I mean, we watched Possession earlier this year, and this is the only movie we've watched that is comparable to it in how fucking good it is.
And surprisingly, the second film is also very good. It's a totally different film. It's much more comical. It's much more Hollywoodish, more over the top. But it has some really disturbing moments in it, and it introduces a whole new character, which is fucking amazing. It's with the plate in his head, and get that bitch with the face.
Yeah, and I mean, this movie, you can see its influences. We watched Spider Baby, and you can see how this movie was influenced by Spider Baby, and Spider Baby itself was satire on other movies. So it's this is part of a continuity of horror. We've obviously seen the one since then. We've done Honeydew, we've done House of 1,000 Corpses. What was that? There was another one that we covered that was obvious. Macabre was even very much like this.
Yes.
This is one of a lineage of movies. It's just this one it's the high point. It's a genre is now the Texas Chain Saw Massacre, and all those other movies fit in it.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible. I mean, it's one of those. The franchise is huge. I like this movie. Obviously, I like it. I like the second movie. There's some passable stuff here and there in the rest, but basically, the rest of the movies are, for the most part, just total shit.
Yeah, yeah. It did not need more movies. 2, I agree. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was Tobe Hooper coming back. Hey, let's do something new with this. And then, since then, it's been let's play out the comedy tether a little bit. Okay, that's done. Let's just make shit remakes and weird shit prequels and weird shit 3D versions and weird shit sequels. It's just been shit.
It's been shit. I mean, there's been parts of the movies that, I mean, if you're a horror fanatic, you've probably seen all of them, like I have. And every time I'm like, this is gonna suck, and I watch it anyway, and it sucks. Like the last one that they just made, but it had some good gore in it and had its moments, but it was a terrible film. Arlie Ermy is in one of them. That with the one that's the subtitle is "The Saw Is Life" or something like that.
Oh God, yeah, that's right.
So but yeah, this movie pretty much stands alone.
Yeah, it is an apex to itself.
Yes.
All right, so 10 out of 10 Loathsome Things. John, what else have you been doing horrorly lately?
Well, seeing as how I had COVID and was waylaid for an entire goddamn week, I watched a lot of horror movies. I saw, let's see, 4, 5, 6, I saw 10 of them.
Wow. Okay.
Some good stuff. I saw that
Do it
movie.
like Letterman.
Yeah, that's right. I saw Sea Fever, an Irish eldritch horror film that is about a bunch of people on a boat who basically get waylaid by some sort of strange life form under the water.
The one with the glowy tentacles?
Yes.
Oh, fuck yeah, that movie was kind of cool.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I saw Amigo with Javier Boter, whatever his name is, the super tall, lanky dude. That was pretty good. I saw Relic about the ladies and the grandmother slash mother. That was
my god.
interesting.
Yeah, that end scene though, it was like, oh, that was good.
Yeah, the end scene was great. That was a good movie. I saw Schools Out, a weird French eco horror film with like strange evil kids in it. That was weird. I saw Vampire, a vampire movie set in Eastern Europe, which is actually really, really good. I really enjoyed that.
The really old one from like the 30s?
No, this is PIR. It's a guy. He's like an American. Is he American? No, he's British. He goes to, I guess, Romania to go. It's like his ancestral home or something like that. And he goes to this small town, and of course, the town is has a vampire, and all the people in the town know about it, and all this crazy shit happens. It's really good. I saw Paul Dude's Deadly Lunch Break.
Oh, okay.
About a British guy who wants to be on a talent show, and he can't get to the show on time because all these people keep holding him up. So he gets pissed off and goes back and murders them all. It's British comedy. It's great. Saw a movie called Slash Back about Inuit kids who up in the Arctic Circle who are fighting aliens. It's also very good. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
I stopped early along through it, and I didn't finish it. Like, at a certain point, I was like, nah, I don't like where this is going, so maybe I need to go back and give it a second shot.
I liked the effects. I thought they were good, and the kids were kind of fun to watch. I saw Anthropophagus, the Joe D'Amato film.
Oh, the original?
Yeah, that is something else.
Yeah.
I saw The Ones You Didn't Burn, which was just added on Shudder. It's like a witch movie, kind of folk horror-ish. That was pretty good. And then I saw Final Prayer, which is about a guy who's like a camera guy hired by the Vatican with he's not a priest, but he's like a brother. I forget what they call him. I'm not real hip on Catholic stuff. So then there's a priest that shows up, and they're there to investigate Catholic Church. And it's a found footage film. And I had read about it a long time ago and never saw it. And I actually really, really enjoyed it. And I'm picking that for our next movie.
Nice!
Final Prayer.
Okay. And that one's a found footage, right?
Yes. It's a little bit different. It has a good sense of humor to it, and it has a real banger ending.
Nice. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen it. I literally only know your summary of it, so that's going to be fun. That one that you mentioned, The Ones You Didn't Burn, I watched that one too. I thought it paired remarkably well with the Devonsville Terror. Yeah. I was like, oh shit, yep. It's like modern and from the other side, kind of.
Did you see any horror stuff, or?
I saw The Ones You Didn't Burn. I watched The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
Oh, I saw that too.
It was fucking awesome. I wasn't expecting it to be. It's more action movie than I was expecting it to be, but it was still really fucking good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's right up my alley, so you would assume I would like it, but I also was worried that because it's right up my alley, I might be overly critical of it. No, it hit on all cylinders for me. I mean, I'm like, in case anybody hasn't heard yet, I'm like obsessed with the idea of a really well-made deep sea horror film set in a different time period, which this movie is very much that. I was a little worried because it's just like an excerpt of, based on an excerpt from Dracula, the novel.
Yeah.
But they do a great job. I thought it was a lot of fun. It was like a B movie dressed up with high production value.
Yeah, it was surprisingly good at what it was. Yeah, and I know, you do loves yourself some boat.
So nobody's made that movie yet. I keep waiting for it. There's been some good ones, but not the one I'm looking for.
Yeah, it'll be out there one day unless we make it. From what I hear, realistic ocean voyage films are easy and cheap to make.
Nice. Well, I did write up a pretty long story along those lines. So
yes, sir.
To flesh it out and make it not shit.
So join us in 2 weeks when we watch the name of the movie I forgot already.
Final Prayer.
Final Prayer. I will remember that so that I can actually watch it. And go out there, be good, eat some meat, visit some places in Texas, and be kind to your siblings.
Yeah. And I'm sorry you all have to die.